Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for October 4th through 8th, 2021. Wow, the astrology is so epic. Now we've been feeling this intense squeeze of all of our personal planets in tension transits. These are starting to come off right now. And a very interesting pattern is emerging as we move into this Libra new moon happening in just a couple of days, tomorrow, really. And so for this Libra new moon, we've got Mercury and Mars also in Libra. New moon means the sun and the moon in Libra. So a stellium of planets in Libra, and it's like aligning up Mercury and Mars. We've got Mercury, the mastermind, and Mars, the warrior. So it's like a council as we explore. We know that the only way forward to build a new world is one new world can only be built on truth and justice. And our world seems about as far away from truth and justice as possible. But you know what? Has it ever been just for you, advanced soul? You know, we live in this upside down reality where the most evil, horrible people that do things we can't even imagine reap all the benefits of this physical world. And it's time for the tables to turn. So this is the stellium. And so the new moon starts off this energy. And that happens on Wednesday at 13 degrees Libra. And then these planets, the sun and the moon, Mars, Mercury, just get closer and closer together. And that peaks out next weekend on the 10th. Now there's some pretty powerful energy that day, 10-10, because Venus is about to move over into Sagittarius. Now that means that she's at the very end degrees of Scorpio. Scorpio, deep and profound emotions, repressed emotions coming to the surface. Venus has been going through it, our feminine having to go deep into the depths to clean that house up, right? Now, this part of the zodiac, where it goes from that deep dive into Scorpio, it's like, you know what? If you want authenticity, if you want real life, you want living, we got to be real and authentic with how we feel and what's going on beneath the surface. Because as long as that stuff stays hidden in our subconscious, then it continues to control us. We can't have consciousness and have a whole bunch of black shit in our psyche. That's why we're going through what we're going through. And you being brave enough to go through the wilderness and this shedding of this purification of dropping everything behind, that isn't of you, that isn't of God, coming back to your true essence. So wow, because this Venus at the end degrees of Scorpio is like, oh, just the depths. But then, the Scorpio Sagittarius cusp is really interesting because it's like Sagittarius has this lighter phoenix energy, the fire rising above the bigger picture, the horizon, the dream, the vision. And that's like the gift that comes from deeper and more true authenticity, like going into that deep dive. And this is what's going on in our world right now, especially for advanced souls and supernova souls. It's like, I can just feel, the definition of a supernova soul is that you've had prior experiences before coming to Earth evolution, meaning you were already evolved to a certain level. You've already gone through spiritual ascension. You've had these other experiences. You don't have a memory. You can't access that, because that's been stolen from us. And we agreed to turn it off. We agreed to forget. But now we can't go forward until we remember. But as you spiritually evolve, so the more experience you have as a soul and the more intuitive experience you have, the more sensitive you become. And our culture and everyone around us has told us this is a weakness, but we've just seen how Venus being brave enough to go to the depths of the underworld and Scorpio for authenticity comes out rising again to new heights. And so it's Thursday or the 7th is when Venus moves over into Sagittarius. So really powerful because that brings Venus right into conjunction with the south node of the moon. Now at 2 degrees. So the nodes of the moon, north node Gemini, south node Sagittarius, they're in a sign for about a year and a half. And so we've been having this long sojourn of the nodes in mutable signs, which is like, it's an interesting energy because the nodes are about direction and where are we going and how are we going to get there, and destiny and the past and the future. And so in the mutable signs are about adjusting and changing. And so it's kind of like, oh, wait, I don't even know where I'm coming from. So how can I know where I'm going? Because I'm totally lost, Um, because we need to completely reevaluate and completely go adjust on every level in order to step over into the next chapter. So the nodes of the moon coming to 2 degrees, it's like the very last chapter, and that goes through December. We've got eclipse season coming up, and it'll be the last set of eclipses in while the nodes are in Gemini and Sagittarius. So if you remember back to 2019, 2 years ago about this time, Venus and Jupiter went over the galactic center in Sagittarius. It's about 26, 27 degrees together. And the galactic center is like this destiny point. It's like this energy of nothing can stop it. It's like we're all going in this direction, right? It's like our cosmic destiny. And so it was like Venus got an upgrade, right? And it was like, ooh, high priestess, right? And this is like a completion of this because Venus coming up to the south node in Sagittarius at the beginning degrees. So that was more at the end degrees when with Jupiter. And so now Venus is taking her place, her rightful place, the queen, home on her throne again, right? Rising up out of the ashes, rising up out of the shame, rising up out of the low self-worth that the feminine has been hiding under in all of us. And so the South Node in Sagittarius is really intense for a certain soul group right now. A huge bloom in energies around um, invalidation of who you are as a soul, in like piled under deep repression, deep feelings of repression, of being rejected. Here, supernova souls come and you don't even understand what you had to go through to get here, just to be qualified for this experiment, right? And what you had to go through in order to be in 3D reality as an advanced soul. It's like squeezing yourself into this tiny little container and saying, okay, I'm going to separate from that bigger spiritual truth and I'm going to go on my blind path, all alone and come back to God, right? So the South Node Sagittarius is really bringing up just intense feelings of where the supernova soul and everything you've gone through to be here on earth and all that you have within you, just this incredible wealth of soul experience. Nobody can take that from you. And it doesn't have to do with any of the things you've done in this life. Maybe you've honed those skills and work with them, but it's not a certificate you can go get, right? This is soul wealth. And you came in here in order to be here on earth. You had, the karmic situation for you to embody here means that you have total devotion towards humanity and the earth. And yet then you got here and you were called the devil and burned at the stake, you know, in a nutshell. But it's this feeling of being rejected and validated. And then just, I don't even know who I am. Is this even real? So many supernova souls have this huge feeling they've battled with their whole life. Like there's something bigger I'm here to do. There's something I'm supposed to do. There's a bigger path and purpose. And then the people around them, you just think you're better than everybody else. Go get a job, just be normal, right? And it's like, all this you have. It's just an absolute validation of all that's inside of you that is the true wealth of the world. And guess what? The cream is about to rise to the top, and a great redemption. So, but the South Node in Sagittarius is bringing up deep. Maybe it's this combination of Venus at the end of Scorpio, and then coming into this kind of foreshadowing of this conjunction with the South Node, because the South Node is past karma, like things from the past that are keeping us from moving forward. And in this case, it's the Sagittarius dream and destiny. The beginning degrees of Sagittarius are like, oh, right? It's that Venus. It's like, I've risen above. I see the truth. I know where I'm going now. Nothing can stop me because I've got the wider perspective. God's on my side and we're doing it, right? It's that divine destiny. And this has been so crippled in the supernova soul and called a bad thing and distorted and called ego and all this. And it's like, so we're sorting all this out because we do get trapped in old stories, old ego stories, old personality constructs from past lives where we didn't complete our purpose and mission. And there is like a spiritual ego type thing happen of like, oh, I have to fulfill this thing, right? I have to like do this thing. And then we're in this trap of like, you're proving yourself and you have to do something in order to get back in the graces of God or whatever, come back, you're not doing it right. And it's just this crazy frantic place for supernova souls. But it's about resolving these things. And it's ultimately about you coming back into the faith of who you are. Like it's really all we have right now. And it's the most powerful energy. It's like, wait a minute, this is the only thing that makes sense, is that you do have this incredible wealth that has been unreceived, rejected, called evil, attacked, constant harassment. And you still kept showing up in your light, in your truth, And so it's like underneath the old personality construct stories of the failure and I didn't do it right and I failed God and all that stuff. It's like underneath that is the evidence and the truth of your spiritual destiny, So that big thing you thought you might be called to do is way bigger than you can imagine. And again and again, we've gotten this message that we're not really going to understand what we're doing or even the bigger picture until we actually start doing it. So can we take that leap of faith and establish ourselves in the garden, claim our rightful place back as an advanced soul, and be in the energy of your full expression. So your full expression is the God expression. And so you don't have to give anything up. It feels like that ego death experience, like, we get caught up in there's something to prove and I got to fight against this. They've just kept us in this energy for so long, right? And it's all to keep you distracted. And so now it's kind of like you're being asked to say yes and to pull yourself up and give yourself permission for your destiny. And when we're waiting for the outside validation, so many of us are just waiting and waiting, waiting for something to happen because then we'll know it's real. And, that's conditional. And if we're walking with God and coming back out of the illusion of separation and into our true essence as an advanced soul of walking with God, as an expression of creator, energy, and source, then that has to be reevaluated. We're working in unconditional love, right? So we don't get to say, oh, well, when I have proof, then I'll believe in my destiny. Mm-mm. Only you can drive the car, ultimately, and we're coming to this very powerful energy of free will, where we are all given what if everything that's going on in your life right now, which it's all intense for everybody, right? It's like with the astrology, sometimes you look at it, it's like, oh, well, if you have planets over here and this part of this sign and these signs, and you'll be affected. And it's like, you're not getting out of this one. We're all getting cooked right now, in this astrology. And yet, such powerful and profound messages about this epic time. This is epic time we live in, and the astrology is epic astrology. Um, and so it can be really helpful, and maybe that can be helpful and validating too. But we're all being everything that's happening, whether you're totally asleep or you're totally awake, which is kind of what's this just bifurcation that's happening. We're all being asked to make a choice very deliberately, because we live in a free will universe. We have to say yes in our whole being to spiritual ascension. You can't do it part way. And then it's like, but you don't actually get a choice, supernova soul, because that's why you're here. So you chose before you came, because you came for this, to be on the cutting edge. And I know you don't know who the hell you are and what the hell you're doing, but here you are. And we're here together too. So that's interesting, because this delusion of separation that we all fell into, and that we failed God. But there's also the separation from each other, where we agreed not to be together because the light became very targeted, right? So those of the light dispersed. And so we made contractual arrangements to stay separate. And maybe it is that leap of faith and that conviction and that yes within your being that allows your soul group to come back into your life in 3D right there with you. So, like, we're being asked to say yes and commit. And it's almost like this is the single focus. And that's the energy of what the astrology is saying right now. It's like the storm has come. And so at this point, we're moving from the anticipation and the impatience and the confusion into the action stage. And so it's like, that's a big shift, because it's like supernova souls are going from like all alone and validated. I don't even know what I'm doing here, and barely making it, because like, so this weird period of time we've been in has been, it's like we know shit is so weird in our world and it doesn't add up. But we're just playing this game, and that's what's going on. I guess I want to speak to this. There's a deep weariness in the soul of supernova souls right now that has to do with the constant manipulation. It's almost like, as an intuitive soul, like I can see an ancient picture of like where we all kind of took this draft of forgetfulness, where we bought into the illusion, we made all those contracts, and we basically said that we would stay hidden and stay separate. And now that's changing, right? And so, but it comes back to this leap of faith and us being like, we have to claim and receive this heaven on earth energy. But I did want to speak to this weariness, because I'm seeing an old picture that's kind of maybe it's like I said, ancient times, where as an intuitive soul, there was this incredible misrepresentation, right? This is how we all got in all our contracts and all our weird shit, is that we trusted the wrong freaking people. And here you are, an intuitive soul. And when you are, so it's like it's just kind of like humanity's, the power of their emotional range has been used to control them, right? Like that spiritual feeling of the Piscean age of spiritual revelation being controlled by structures of power, and say, oh, well, yeah, no, there's all this, but you got to go through us to get to it, and there's just this incredible, it's like, okay, so there has to be all this deception, right? Because the Piscean age was just a complete lie and deception. And so it's like I can see that forces on the planet working for good are using deception in order to break the spell of deception. But for the intuitive soul that's been so taken advantage of, in just because you couldn't even imagine coming to earth, you couldn't imagine the level of evil. And we've all had this play out in narcissist empath relationships where you're like, wait, really? Like, I can't even imagine deliberately masterminding or trying to hurt somebody else. It just, why would you, that you can't even do that because you understand the laws of karma, you know? And it's like, so, but then you were duped. You trusted the wrong people. We trusted the wrong people. Our intuitive nature and our loving, compassionate nature was used against us, all trying to get rid of that energy, right? So there's our wealth. But there's a weariness of all the deception and all the lies. And it's like that feeling of, say, you're in this relationship where you think it's love, but there's this total lie going on, like in the covert narcissist relationship. And then um, it's like you trust the wrong person, then you're beating yourself up, and you're like left lost and broken because of this duplicity. And then who can you trust? That's where they want us, right? So that we never climb our way back to our intuitive connection to God, source, creator, except for it never went anywhere. And all the technological bullshit and fluoride in the water and GMOs and everything they've done to interfere with our connection to God, creator, source, cannot do anything to interfere with this. Look at, we're still here. We're still connected. But I did want to speak to this weariness, like, and kind of like an overwhelm feeling of, we've been under total psychic attack. And now those mechanisms are dismantling, and we're going through a cleansing. And the emotional part of this cleanse feels like a traumatized soul, like our child, part of ourselves that has been lied to so much and kicked to the curb and manipulated, and like just kind of like this total exhaustion, that maybe I guess it's just really important that you're, I just feel like it's like, I want to say, I hear you, I feel you, and that um just let that be a validation of your incredible power, and power to climb your way back up to that intimate connection with source and bring all those people with you that might want to come. Um, so, what's going on for this new moon is that there is a stellium of planets in Libra, and Mercury, Mars, Sun, and Moon. And after the new moon, the Sun and Mercury and Mars get closer and closer together, and that peaks out on the 10th, 1010. Now, that's also the day that Venus is in exact conjunction with the South Node. She's uncovering out of the rubble. It really goes back to Atlantean time, right? Because in Atlantean time, the technology that we used that was so-called misused, by just a few elite that used it as an actual weapon, and then these souls use, especially those that came in Atlantean time, so excited to develop your inner technology and work with this. It was just such an exciting time on the planet. Um, and then those Atlantean catastrophes were designed to bury our history, bury the technology, and make sure that you never access, that you're scared of your own power. And what happens if it wasn't actually you misusing your power? What if that was a whole story that's been told to you? It's a lie. It's a weapon. It was an off-planet weapon that caused those Atlantean catastrophes. And maybe, though, maybe like you working with those technologies that then were misused by the few, you are blaming yourself. You are stuck under that rubble. Except for that, now we've got to get up and get going. We've got to pull ourselves out of the past. And that's exactly Venus coming over this threshold experience into Sagittarius and coming back in her destiny, because the technologies of the Atlantean time, it's more advanced than we have now, or at least what they're telling us, right? But that's feminine technology, that free energy, perpetual motion. And so it's interesting. The technology is buried. And in order to keep that buried, they had to bury the feminine and and feminine teaching. They had to shame and attack the intuitive light, which is the feminine in all of us. And so pretty powerful that we've got this lining up of planets in Libra, Venus in the South Node together. And that same day, 1010, as if this isn't enough, we've got Saturn turning direct at 6 degrees Aquarius. And that Saturn turning direct, even though we won't really feel that forward motion until Mercury turns direct around the 18th. And that's right when Jupiter turns direct also. So that's when we're really going to start feeling the forward motion. But Saturn turning direct is like, okay, like we gotta get on with it, right? Enough wallowing. Saturn is about hard work and one foot after the other, and that mountain goat that's making it up that mountain. And it's kind of time for us to get to work now. And that's where it's like this shift in the plan, right? Where it's like the waiting, the anticipation, the hiding, the secrets, the lies, oh, wake people up. Oh, no, we don't want more people up because the art of war, and we want them to think they're losing while we're winning and we're strong. But so this lining up is so powerful because Mercury and Mars is the warrior in Libra. Now the Sun, Mercury, and Mars opposite Chiron at 10 degrees Aries. So wait a minute. So this conjunction is like when they have their real power place across from Chiron, leading up to the stellium, it's like, Chiron's at 10 degrees Aries. And so we've got 10, and all of this happening. Pretty interesting. And Chiron in Aries is the wounds over where we've given our power away. It's exactly that energy. Like, oh, your power, your technology caused destruction. You're never going to touch it again. Make sure that you are completely programmed with fear and that it's not even your power to have. You have to have our permission, and all this bullshit we got into. And now that's all unraveling. And Saturn direct is almost like, I feel like it's almost like we've been held back, by, it's like a yoke or like a slingshot, you know, like held back at the gate, and it's like can't hold back those horses anymore, you know. So pretty powerful. And so just know that it's not that it's going to get less intense, but it's a different part of the game now where we're going to hit the ground running and have a little bit more clarity about our role and what we're doing here and get to work building our new world. That's why you're here. And you've been twiddling your thumbs for like 20 years. No, we've been doing powerful work to prepare for this. We've actually been working on this over thousands of years and lifetimes in evolution, this whole evolution. It's been about this rebirth of Christ consciousness, which corresponds with the age of Aquarius. And so how powerful Saturn turning direct, 6 degrees Aquarius, is like no more games, no more deception. We got to build now. Let's get to work. Saturn is rules, laws, limitations, but it's also just practical steps we need to take. So pretty powerful energy. And that Chiron, opposition of Chiron, this is what makes the stellium and Libra so powerful, because here we have a council. We've got the Sun and Mercury, the moon for the new moon, and Mars. So Mars the warrior, but in detriment over in Libra because he's the ruler of Aries. And Chiron's in Aries kind of taunting him. And and Mars is going, I'm going to do it peacefully this time. Maybe I could just say it without saying it. Maybe I could just like pretend it's all okay, And like Chiron in Aries is like about to blow a gasket, And that energy of empowerment and anger, it's like that, it's positive, it's like moves us out of the stuck places. It moves us out of that doormat bullshit place of, just going along to get along and put up and shut up, right? This is where we come face to face. And it's hard because you might find yourself in experiences where we've been dealing with all this for so long. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I can't argue with stupid. And I'm not going to say anything because it's not a valuable use of my time. They're in another dimension. They can't actually hear what I have to say. But then you get to this place where it's like, it's built up, and it's like that expression wants to come forward. And it's just like you want to get that blowhorn and stand up on that soapbox and start throwing out, slinging some truth. Um, so it's incredibly potent because the stellium in Libra is like a council, the warrior, the mastermind, right? We've got our intelligence sources, our spies, and our warriors, the military, all in one room. And we're trying to art of war our way out of here. But Chiron and Aries says, we've been rolling over for too long. It's about time we stand up for what's right and good and true, the righteousness, the life force, claiming back our power, because we almost gave completely our whole human energy away. That's what's going on. It's all about tapping in to your energy. It's a parasitic reality. This is why an anti-parasitic remedy, simple, is working for this situation. It's not about that particular drug. It's an anti-parasitic. It's very simple. When are we going to stop feeding the monster? And the monster's been telling us that we can't survive without them. And that whole paradigm only exists as long as we don't know and take back our power, our life force, which is the immune system. So Western medicine's got to go down. This is part of what's going on, like completely down. It's been built on lies and deceit and keeping us sicker, and horrible, horrible crimes against humanity through the medical field. This can't go on, you know? And so it's so powerful. And that Chiron, and it's like kind of like the Libra energy is like, okay, it's okay. We can talk through it. We can negotiate. Let's just figure this out. And it's just like, no more negotiating with terrorists. You know what? Oh, I forgot to say my prayer so that I didn't get abducted. No more abductions. No more. No more dark shit. No more. We know who we are now. And we no longer consent to these manipulations. And it's beyond what you can imagine what we've gone through. And we're still here. And we're not going anywhere. And it's our world now. So you better watch out. This empowerment, this is the energy here. And so we've got that council of war, and we've got this like incredible like reconnecting back to our true source. And it's time that we stop giving beings that are so-called above us in dimension power over us. We, where we came from as souls, supernova souls, way more evolved. Why? Why would we give our power? You know, what part of us said yes to this level of manipulation? You know, is this going to fly in our world? And we're waiting for somebody to come and save us? This is the Starseed Rebellion. No more. Like, oh, well, you know, there's just abductions. No more. We're done. Stop it. You know? So it takes us being informed. It takes us facing the truth. It takes us going to these places of trauma that we don't know where they came from, but they're there, and it's all cleaning out, and it's all healing faster than we can imagine. So just know this, like I keep talking about this, like things are being cleared and healed, and detoxed in a rapid thing that would take weeks, months, years, over these past periods of time. And so it's kind of like we got to get out of the way and surrender to this process, surrender to our God self, and reevaluate, maybe in a very conscious way. Wherever I made contractual arrangements with these so-called higher beings that want to play God in our world, I'm not part of that plan. I'm going to divine plan. We're in the divine plan, God's plan. You know, no more games. The level that humanity has been manipulated on a DNA, and so um so much is coming up, and just really support yourself, because as these things are healing and clearing, you just, you really got to, this is our time. We got to take, the storm is here, but and the practical game chain plan is changing. But right now, while it's unfolding, keep resting, healing, loving, sorting out your life, preparing for the next chapter. Be in that leap of faith of this world, this heaven. You can go there right now. We can meet there together, and we're going to be descending this heaven onto earth by establishing there, giving ourselves permission to be there. And but this rapid healing is really intense. But if you understand what's going on, because the sun and the moon, for this new moon, but coming into conjunction with Mercury and Mars in Libra, the sun is, who do you think you are? And I think that's the power of this. Opposite of Chiron and Aries, it's like, do you have your own source of power, or are you going to be a robot? Are you going to claim your spiritual destiny and take that leap of faith and surrender um, out of these old stories, right? We don't have a choice. But we are being asked to deliberately and 100% in our whole being confirm and affirm and maybe remake this choice that we made of absolute complete devotion. It's the only way you got here. And just living in that. It feels so much better, because the Sagittarius energy is like this feeling, this horrible feeling of like you didn't do enough, you failed, you got to prove yourself. There's something that, it's like you're just, and it's like, oh my God, so exhausting, because it's like you're magic. You're an angel. Stop it. Like, stop beating yourself up. The biggest sin, as came through the Edgar Casey readings, the biggest sin, which is just the meaning of sin, is like a distortion and vibration, right? And the biggest sin is against self. You beat yourself up, because that's you saying, I'm not God. I'm not consciousness. I'm not my beautiful, pure, unconditional, loving soul that I am, right? I didn't do it good enough. And then we've got these like players doing horrible things with our tax dollars in our name. And you're beating yourself up because you probably could have said that in a nicer way. Right? Whew. So massive empowerment, but we've also got that mastermind, the army, and the intelligence is all in a room together, and it's aligning up, and it's saying, hey, and Saturn moving forward, it's like, yeah, Aquarian age, Christ consciousness, it's built on truth and justice. And now we know, and now we're going, and now we're in the next stage of the plan. And so you being in that truth and that hope and that faith and taking that leap and establishing yourself there with your people in that energy of heaven, give yourself permission to do that. This is crucial times, and your total devotion and dedication means that everything is about this. And then your life is finally going to make sense, and you're going to feel better. And the clarity will come, and the pathways will come, the support will come, to help you share what you have within you. It will not go to waste, So celebrate that abundance, and let this astrology get you focused on your destiny, and waiting around for that outside validation. We're kind of at that point. It's like, no, this is what you came for. Stop denying yourself. Stop arguing with yourself. Claim it. There's no other way. And, the people around you that are not in your dimensional energy, just it's like, stop trying to get their um, approval or collaboration, right? It's time where we step out now as who we really are. We got to find that bravery. We got to put on that armor of God and that truth and that empowerment. This lining up, it's game changer. So, this new moon in Libra is quite a shift. So, I hope you can consider joining me. The live activation for this Libra new moon is going to be tomorrow on the 5th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And the information to sign up for that activation is below. If you can't make the live time, just know that we're working outside of time. And by signing up and getting the replay whenever you can, you're still with us, and your questions will be answered and this will be addressed. And we can explore together this big shift that we're in because the storm has come. And the storm is bringing us together because we are the eye of the storm. And so there we'll find each other in heaven. um, so thank you so much for being here, making it through all you've made it through. And kudos to you for your power and strength. Keep showing up without any validation this whole time. And now you got to make this final leap of faith that you don't know who you are or what you are really, but you know that you have a bigger purpose here. And destiny is calling. And we need you. So thank you so much for being here. Love you so much, Supernova Souls. I look forward to seeing you hopefully tomorrow for that Libra new moon activation. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you either there or on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.